Hello my tarot friends, welcome to another collection type of videos where I'm going to show you my witchy type of decks. When I say witchy type of decks, I'm gonna actually put them in three categories. First one is gonna be the decks that I really just see as witchy. The second category is going to be witchy type of decks that are also naturey, or the witchiness that is based in nature, if that makes sense. And then the third group is going to be the decks that are more druidy / pagan-y. I hope I'm using correct expressions here, but I'm pretty sure you will understand what I mean when you see the decks. So without further ado, let's just start. So the first group is witchy decks. So this is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. And I talked about this deck recently, actually, in my previous video, I believe, in my comfy decks. This is obviously a witchy deck. It's actually called Witch's Wisdom. We know that the creator of this deck is a witch, and also Danielle Barlow, I think it's her name, the artist, is also, I'm not sure if she's a witch, but she's definitely into everything pagan. If you look at her Etsy and if you look at her, what does she have? I think Facebook. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you, I am not a witch, right? But I'm very interested in all witchy. I love nature. I always felt nature is magical, and this deck connects me to that part of myself. I feel like working with this deck is like connecting to nature and extracting magic from it, if that makes sense. And not in an invasive way, but like in a reciprocity type of way. There is also one card in here called Offerings, which is the Hanged Man card. And it's really important with nature. If we take from nature, that we also return to nature, right? That we give offerings, that we look after the nature, that we pick up trash, that we, I don't know, help the birds, that we help the animals, whatever, in whatever way. So this deck has a very primal feel to it. To me, it feels like you become one with nature and you work with it. And now thinking about it, I said I'm going to put it in three categories. The witchy decks, and then the ones that are more rooted in nature. And actually this one now, looking at it, even though it has a title, Witch's Wisdom, is rooted in nature. But then really, if you look at witches, the real witches work with nature, right? So that makes sense. So yeah, this deck is absolutely gorgeous. I talked about it quite a bit. I created my own keywords, as you can see on the cards, because the guidebook diverts quite a bit from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meanings. So I added my own meanings, and I also added some meanings from the guidebook that made sense to me for the card. I also renumbered the cards, so I know which major arcana cards I'm looking at. So yes, this is a really, really loving, inspiring, magical deck, and I love working with it, especially now that I added my own keywords. I feel very confident using it. I think that's the main issue that people have with this deck. They find it beautiful and gorgeous, and they love the meanings, but they don't feel confident working with it with the knowledge that they have about tarot, because it diverts from the traditional system so much. I think everyone who has this deck should just be brave and start using it, and do what I did perhaps, or create your own little leaflet that you can use with it, and that's going to give you the confidence to work with it. I really, really suggest it. So yes, this was Witch's Wisdom, a very beautiful witchy deck. And I can use this deck all year round as well. I mean, I used all my decks all year round, but if you're a person who uses decks seasonally, I feel this deck can literally be used in any season. Okay, the next deck has also a name Witch in it. So this is Tarot of Witch's Garden, or Witch's Garden Tarot, I never know. I think it's Tarot of the Witch's Garden. This deck is absolutely gorgeous. I talked about this deck as well before, because it is such a beautiful, gentle deck. I mean, it is gentle, but at the same time, no, it is gentle actually, yeah. Because of the art, I feel it's gentle. I love the cardstock. I love the images. I love that we have subtle witchy things in it. Like, for example, here, I feel there is like some sort of ritual happening here, right? I really love this deck because, yes, it has a witch theme, but it is much more than that to me. It is a beautiful representation of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but in its own way. For example, look at this Hierophant card. Isn't it just gorgeous? We have like this older teacher, this older witch trying to teach her wisdom, her knowledge to younger generations, right? And she feels very approachable. And I love that we have this type of energy in this deck. I love this deck because it is very diverse as well. This is very interesting when you look at the sun and the moon card, because we have two children, two horses. It's like, what's the word? If you cut the card in the middle, it's symmetrical, and the same happens in the moon card. And I don't think that one should ignore that, because I'm sure this is done on purpose. And if you look at the size of the moon and the sun, it's the same size, which is also really cool to me. So yeah, they're like small hidden nuggets in this deck, if you will, that you only can discover if you really work with it and if you pay attention to the details. I feel there's loads of details in this deck that get missed really easily. Like, for example, what I love here is, yes, we have the heart and it's pierced with 3 swords, yes, but you have also 3 ravens. What do ravens represent? We have a woman holding her head. We know that the sword suit is related to mind and thinking and communication and logic, and she's holding her head, and I find it really, really subtly cool, you know what I mean? So yeah, this deck is really, really, really great. I did a whole review on this deck. I'm gonna link that in the description box below. Oh yes, again, I didn't do the shufflings. I'm gonna show you the shufflings. The shuffling of the decks. The shuffles? I don't know. I'm gonna show you how the decks... I'm gonna show you how each deck shuffles as well, just because I always say this, but I love to see that in my reviews. So I will do that for you. And the Witch's Wisdom, let me show you the shuffle real quick as well with that. So this one shuffles really well overhand. It's a really thick deck, but you can riffle shuffle it if you put it in 2 small sections. So this way it shuffles really nicely. Oh, look at that. I love this card so much. I love humpback whales. They're one of my favorite whales. Like, whales are my favorite animals in the world, so the fact that we have whales in this deck is really special to me. The next one is one of my favorite decks of all time. This is the Crow Death Magic Tarot. Simon from the Hermit's Cave just created a review on this deck as well, so I suggest you go watch it if you haven't seen it. You can also watch my review, that is very long. I think it's like over an hour long, maybe an hour and a half. Because this deck is so incredible. Frank Duffy, who is the creator of this deck, they are a witch as well. They told me this in the email. So it holds witchy energy. I feel every deck that is created by a witch always holds a witchy energy, even though it's maybe not obvious to the eye. But this deck is very magical. I mean, it's also in the title, right? We have Crow Death Magic Tarot. So yes, this deck is everything. I mean, I did such a in-depth review of all the cards, so if you want to check that out, because it is worth stopping and thinking how deep and how beautiful and how inclusive and how just incredible in its messages, in its layers this deck is. Layers with cards, with symbology, with sacred geometry, with astrology, with numerology, everything. Everything is in this deck. Everything that you would want as a nerd, like I am, is in this deck. So it's amazing. It's witchy, it's magical. I literally have no more words to say because everything has been said in that video that I've created. So yes, if you want more about this deck, this beautiful, witchy, magical, inclusive deck, please go check out my review, because yeah, it's just amazing. Let me show you how it shuffles real quick. Really beautifully overhand. And you can also riffle shuffle it. Even though it is a bit thicker deck, you can easily do it because the cardstock is a really, really great quality. And the Kickstarter is now live for the second printing or second edition of this deck. Please go check it out. I will link it in the description box below as well. And that new edition is going to be printed on black core cardstock. So that is exciting because it means it's going to shuffle even better than this one. So yeah, this was the Crow Death Magic Tarot. An absolute gem of gems. The next 2 decks, perhaps people wouldn't put in the witchy category, but to me, they feel witchy. First of all, I know that Ethany has her own coven, so she's definitely a witch, and Cosmic Wisdom Tarot holds that witchy energy for me, even though perhaps we don't have witches in the cards per se. It just has that energy about it. It's hard to put in words. Let me show you. Maybe you will understand what I mean if you look at the pictures. So this deck is so beautiful. Funny enough, this is actually the only card in the deck that I'm not crazy about. The only card. I don't know, it's just something about Lion's face that puts me off. But otherwise, do you see what I mean? It's like, I don't know, it has witchy energy. It just does. It's magical. It's beautiful. I mean, this art style is just gorgeous. The colors are incredible. The scenes are Rider-Waite-Smith, but some of them are really reimagined, like this one, Four of Swords. So yeah, it's just one of my faves, man. Especially for readings that I do for other people, because it is pleasing to the eye. It is very diverse. It is diverse also in age that we don't see often in the decks, unfortunately. The scenes make sense. We also have very hidden things in the cards if you pay attention. For example, here we have the swords dangling above her. Are they really touching her? No. We see the salt lamp here, and the salt lamps are very special in spirituality, right? They radiate ions that take the negative energy away from you. AKA in the Nine of Swords, obviously we are consumed with the negative thinking, right? With the scary negative thinking. And so Salt Lamp is there to help you to absorb those negative thoughts. Also, we have a dog from the Fool card here. Is the same dog. And why is that dog there? To support you, to help you, to guide you through. But you need to open your eyes. The support is right there. Also, look at that. You have a labyrinth on the flipping bed. I mean, come on. Like, what is labyrinth for? Labyrinth is for mindfulness, right? You mindfully step through the labyrinth and you release the thoughts. You kind of get in that float state of not really thinking, but just being. And in that state, things come to you. So do you know what I mean? This deck is so much deeper than people think. At least the reviews I saw, but there's so much more in every single card if you open your eyes and if you look. Really, really underrated deck, in my opinion. People just see it and think, oh, it's beautiful, it's sweet, it's cute. No, it's way more than that. I will do a review of this deck as well at some point because it's great. This is definitely an Archangel Azrael. I don't think it's... Let me see if it says in the guidebook. That's another thing about this deck. The guidebook is incredible. So Judgment. Let's look. It's color-coded, first of all. Then you have messages, right, the divination, and then you have also explanation of all the symbology, and that's something that I really look forward to in decks. So we have, let's look at the Judgment. Oh, it's Archangel Gabriel. Interesting. Did I say Azrael? I'm not sure which one it is, but there's an Archangel of Death that brings death and birth at the same time, that is present when the children are born and when we die on the deathbed. Anyways, I will see him as Archangel Azrael because that's what the angel... I mean, but then again, you can see that's Archangel Gabriel as well. Messages from divine. We see the trumpet, announcement, hearing the call, coffins, beyond our physical life, rebirth of spirit, clear skies, clarity, no doubts, angel, messages from divine, people walking, taking action, moving towards purpose. Do you see how great this is? But I have to say, not all the symbology is explained. Most of it, but not all of it. So that's also really cool, actually, because I mean, if we get a manual for every single card, that means that there's no space for personal interpretation. So I actually really like that that's the case in this deck, that not all the symbols are explained. So anyway, this deck is amazing. I highly recommend it. You still have a chance to get it right now because it is still available, but it is going out of print. So if you want it, now's the time. It is amazing. It is matte, which I love. It has an amazing cardstock. It has beautiful foil edges. It has beautiful foiling at the back. It shuffles like a dream, which I'm going to show you right now. Beautiful. Also overhand is gorgeous. So yeah, this is the Cosmic Wisdom Tarot by Ethany, and the art is done by, I need to say this because the art is gorgeous, James Fenner. And I love the box so much. Look at that. It's such a beautiful box, and it's rose petal finish on the box and on the book, which to me is just delightful. I love rose petal finish. And the ribbon is long enough so you can go around and you can separate the book first before you separate the cards. What attention to detail, Ethany. Well done. This deck is amazing. One of my favorites, honestly, especially for readings for others. I should have shown this before when I was showing you the Witch's Wisdom. This is the same artist. This is Daniel Barlow's Green Wheel Oracle, and it is very witchy. Okay, so it has these beautiful backs, and I forgot how many cards we have, but it is printed on this, I think it's art paper. It smells so good. You can see it literally looks like she painted every piece on this paper. I know it was printed on it, but it literally looks like that. It's gorgeous. So it has moons, so all 13 moons of the year. It has all the pagan Sabbaths represented, like these ones. I just wish that she said which Sabbath it was, but I suppose if you're a witch, you know this. There are animals in this deck as well, and I feel you can read it very intuitively. Like Badger, obviously it's digging in a hole. It has a very hermit type of energy, very spiritual, darkness going within, within the roots, like digging in your own roots. What is the root of the problem? Like you can go so deep with this, with the deer and reflection and this flow here, and salmon, the toad, not the frog, the toad, which I find really interesting. Yeah, so it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, and it is rooted in the pagan traditions and in the witchy traditions. So I love this goat. Look at that. It's reflected. The devil card is related to the goat, and you can see here on this side, the goat is entangled in the thorns. How cool is that? And you don't know which way is up and which way is down. So anyway, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but yeah, this one unfortunately can't be shuffled in a riffle way. Is that a word? But you can overhand shuffle it just fine. So yeah, this was the Green Wheel Oracle. And now the last in my witchy section is this one, and that is the Good Fortune Tarot. Now, I wanted to talk about this card. The Good Fortune Tarot is not witchy per se, but to me, because I feel, I'm not even sure, is Barbara Moore a witch? I don't know, but she definitely gives me, through these cards, the knowledge of witches comes through, and also pagan and nature things come through. So I just put it in this category as well. Now, I'm going to say something about this card, because we have jackalopes occurring through the whole deck. We have owls with crowns appearing through the whole deck. And we have mice with, or a mouse with a heart appearing through the whole deck, right? And that's significant, because these are golden nuggets that if you want to, you can explore. And if you don't want to, you can just, they're cute and they're there. Now, I'm going to read you what I found about each of these symbols, right? Because all the symbols mean something in this world, all of them, and they're not there just because they're cute. I mean, if you want to look at them like that, you can, but if you want to, you can go deeper, and I'm a nerd. So the jackalope, spiritual significance is the blending of the ordinary and the magical, representing the duality of nature and the acceptance of contradictions within oneself. It symbolizes the connection between the grounded, cautious rabbit and the wild, powerful deer, inviting individuals to embrace both their practical and imaginative sides. Wow! Hello, that's amazing. Does it explain this in the guidebook? No. That's something that if you want to, you can go and put some work in and find this for yourself. Now let's go to the owl with the crown. What is the spiritual meaning of the owl with the crown? An owl with a crown symbolizes supreme wisdom, guardianship, and spiritual sovereignty, merging the owl's traditional associations with wisdom and insight with the crown's representation of royalty and authority. This powerful image can represent a divine or enlightened ruler, a ruler of the spiritual world, or a person who has achieved a high level of wisdom and control over their own destiny. I mean, yes. Yes. And then we have the mouse and heart. A mouse with a heart symbolizes humility, resourcefulness, and attention to the small, overlooked details of life, reminding us that miracles and wisdom can be found in the ordinary. The imagery connects the mouse's quiet nature with the idea of the heart, suggesting a message of inner truth, love, and finding the divine within. I mean, come on. And of course, in the Three of Pentacles here, we have two people. Usually we see three people, right? And you ask yourself, why don't we have the third person? Why? Because the message of the third person is right there within these three symbols, literally. And if you look at this, this is a ruin. This is not something that's been building. This is something that is falling apart now. And this person is finding inspiration from something, from the deep wisdom from the past, right? Because the symbols are ancient. They're not something new. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this deck. I want to do a review of it because I think it's another very underrated deck, especially in the mass market space, right? It is so underrated. There is so much. Look at that. We have the owl whose crown fell off. That tells you that in this card of the Two of Cups, the crown, which is represented the sovereignty and the supreme wisdom, guardianship, and spiritual sovereignty fell off, because when you are in that space of the Two of Cups, when you find or meet someone new, or start something new that is so super exciting, and it feels like you're in the heart space flow, I'm gonna say, that falls off of your head. The wisdom that you've learned is out of the window, because when you are, let's say, in that new relationship, you do everything and you just like up in the air, and you don't have to eat and you don't have to sleep, and you can literally live on 1 hour sleep a night. Like, that's what's in these cards. Do you understand? It is so good. It is so good. Come on, look at this Five of Pentacles. This person is stubborn. No, I am not abundant. I will stay in the energy of the Five of Pentacles. And she's like, look, the jackalope is leading us to the flipping portal that has heaven on the other side, basically, or light, out of this misery and darkness and grayness. It is so amazing. This deck is incredible. You have look, we have the mouse with a heart here, and the star is winking at us. She's winking. Why is she winking? You should ask yourself this. Or here we have Five of Cups, and we have the clock at the back. So I feel like it's asking you, yes, take your time to grieve, but also realize when it's the time to move on. The window is open there for you. Are you going to stand here and grieve over this water that is spilled, or are you gonna get yourself up and look through the window and look what's out there? It is so deep. Or the Knight of Pentacles, we have a web here, so that means that this Knight of Pentacles have been like standing here and thinking and planning for a very long time. I mean, the mushrooms grew around him or around her or around them. It is so great. It is so great. And it's also diverse, which I love so much. I'm pretty sure that here the High Priestess is bald, probably from spiritual reasons as well, but it could also be seen as, it's called alopecia, I think, where you lose your hairs. So yeah, it's just inclusive, diverse, beautiful, diverse in age as well, which we don't see often. Symbology of these cards are incredible. One of my favorite Seven of Pentacles of all time. Look at that. Those stars are empty. It's kind of like you need to put the stars in. There's space and time for those stars to start shining. The ladder, it has webs on it, so taking time, patience. I mean, Four of Pentacles and the dragons and hoarding the gold, and also it's not a real dragon, is it? It's a person with a dragon mask. They're pretending, It's you can go so deep in this. Or the Hierophant here. We have on the left side, we have a tree that is bare, and we have a web there. And this person, this student, is very devoted and it's listening to the Hierophant, And this girl here, she's not paying any attention. She's playing with her toy. He's looking in the distance, and guess what? On this side, we have tree with keys. There are contradictory things about the Hierophant expressed in this one card, and it's amazing. It is so good. I mean, and it's mass market. I mean, Barbara Moore is a genius, and Jessica Rowe, I think it's how we pronounce her surname, is also a genius. The shelf was like this, beautiful. It is linen cardstock, and this is before the Llewellyn made their cardstock super thin. So this one is, I think, as thick or even thicker than the Witch's Garden Tarot. So this is my bag. I have to show it to you because it's so perfect, isn't it? So I love, love, love. And the guidebook of this deck is incredible. It is so good. I'm super excited about this deck. I'm definitely doing a review on this one because someone needs to dive deep into the symbolism, because I haven't seen it yet on YouTube, and it's going to be me because I'm a nerd. So there you have it. Now let's move on to more nature-based decks. This one is, I put like as a transition deck because it is witchy, but also it is really rooted in nature. I love how two cultures come together from this deck. We have Joanna Powell Colbert, who brought Celtic, I'm going to say, traditions into this deck. And then we have Letitia Guthrie. I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, but she is, I believe, of Mexican descent. So she brings also the indigenous peoples of America's teaching into this deck as well. I'm not sure what I'm shuffling, but yeah, it's beautiful. This deck is, yeah, I have a long series on it, so feel free to check it out. I go into symbology, into numerology, into color associations, chakra associations. People think that you need to know about plants to use this deck. You don't. You really, really don't. You just look at the scenes and the colors. And what are the scenes telling you? What is this butterfly doing? What do you know about dandelion? Everyone knows the dandelion flower, okay? You know that it has seeds that you blow away, right? So you can go from that, like from small things that you know about the plants. For example, here we have the willow, right? And you don't need to know that the willow has very bendy branches because you can see it from the picture. You don't have to know this. It's right there for you to look at. Okay, so it really... Sorry, I'm on a bit of a rant here. But it annoys me when people are like, I love how beautiful the Herbcrafters is, but I'm not going to use it because I don't know the plants. You really don't need to know the plants. That's what I'm going to say. You just need to take your time. I understand if you don't want to take your time, that's your own choice. But don't say that you're not using it because you don't know things about plants, because you really don't have to know things about plants with this deck. You really, really don't. Does it add another layer to the readings and to the meanings of the cards? Definitely, it does. And it's in the guidebook. But if you don't know it, you don't have to know it. That's what I'm going to say. I'm sorry, I'm on a bit of a rant here, but it annoys me because this deck is so underrated. And it's such a gem. It is so good. It is just so good. And yeah, I think 20 years from now, people are going to be looking back and be like, oh my God, the Herbcrafters was on another level and almost no one recognized it. Guess what? I recognized it. Hey, Joanna, Paul Colbert, and Letitia Gerthai, I see you. I understand you. And I appreciate you. And I'm grateful for your wisdom because it is a gift from the universe that you share this with all of us. It's amazing. Anyway, enough of my rant. Let's go to my naturey based deck. So let's go to actually this one first. This is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. This is also another deck that I feel people dismiss because the system is not exactly the same as in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, I want to say. This deck, I would suggest to just read it intuitively because the intuition blows up with this deck. There's something about Raven Fallon's art that just opens up your intuition if you are open to it. I love that we have dragons for all the aces here. I love dragons. It is actually also a little bit otherworldly, this deck. It is very naturey. I mean, it's called the Dreams of Gaia, right? Gaia is the goddess of earth in the Greek mythology. But it is also, there's something, what's the word? Fantastical about this deck as well, because maybe of the dragons and all the other beings that come through. I feel like the human figures are not really human in this deck. I see them more as otherworldly, maybe spirits of Gaia, you know, not really human. They're spirits. Like, she has fire hair, so she's definitely not a human, is she? And she's in water. She's a mermaid. So yeah, it's gorgeous, gorgeous. And the guidebook that comes with this deck is so good. Like, oh my God. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you real quick. So I color coded mine because it's easier to find. I mean, you can see there's like lines, so you can find cards easier. So we can see these are majors and then it goes in the suits. As you can see, the majors are separated in 3 groups. We have 24 majors, so that means that the majors travels in 8s. So the first 8, so we have the first 8 are stages of life. The next 8 are reasons for being, so knowledge, wisdom, healing, love, union, self, abundance, and destiny. And then the last 8 are influences, so what influences us? So journey, thought, emotions, desire, perceptions, intuition, integrity, and faith. And yes, you can see correlations between the major arcana from the normal, when I say normal, I mean, you know, Rider-Waite-Smith based tarot decks. But I don't know, she created her own system here. And I feel we shouldn't ignore this. Like, we're all cool with accepting Rider-Waite-Smith system and Marseille system and thought system, but I feel really easily people just dismiss new systems that people create. As long as it has a system, it is a tarot deck, especially if you have elemental suits and a major arcana suit. To me, personally, that's how I see it. I love this 3 of Swords. Isn't it amazing? Or 3 of Air here. It's just beautiful because it is connected to knowledge and thinking, right? Expanded knowledge. Look at those codes, man. They just feel otherworldly, like almost extraterrestrial. So yeah, this deck is beautiful. It's beautiful. Think about this, right? Gaia, Earth, is Earth, right? Is nature. But if you zoom out, the Earth is positioned in the universe, and ETs, extraterrestrials, are in the universe, but we are part of the universe. So, you know, we shouldn't really separate it, should we? Oh, look at that on a day. So beautiful. And also, the new cardstock that they used for this deck is matte, because lots of people were saying, oh, I don't like that this deck is glossy. So this is the Blue Angel deck. I really love the production of their decks. Let me show you how it shuffles. I think I forgot to show you how, as you can see, it shuffles really well. It is not too hard. Like, it is as thick as Witch's Wisdom Tarot, but it's just easier to shuffle. I love this. Death, Rebirth, how beautiful. And this is number 8 here, right? It's not 13 like in the traditional deck, it's number 8. So I understand if you want to read it as the Rider-Waite-Smith, you can't really do that. So if you want to use this deck, you just need to open your mind and be like, okay, this is a new system, and if I'm willing to learn the system, this deck is gonna be amazing. I'm telling you, it's really, really great. I think I didn't show you how the Herbcrafters shuffles. If you want to see that, please go to my previous video where I showed it as well. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the Magical Nature Tarot. And this deck is absolutely beautiful. As you can see, it feels magical. I mean, the title is magical, and magic is connected to witchery in my opinion. So I talked about this deck in my previous video as well. It is magical. It is very powerful because the colors they used them crushing things from nature and creating paint, and then they painted and cut pieces and stuck them together. So it is a physical collage deck, which is gorgeous, which you don't find much nowadays. I feel like digital art is a huge thing now in tarot community, whilst the actual physical collage decks are very rare, and it creates something raw about this deck. That's what I'm gonna say. I love that it's diverse as well, and it's just, yeah, it's such a great deck. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because I'm going to create the review of this deck as well. Let me just show you the guidebook real quick. Okay, so the guidebook that comes with this deck is incredible. This is the new 4 of Wands. As you can see, maybe not. The cardstock is a little bit different to the first edition. It is a bit more durable. So at some point I'd like to get the second printing or second edition of this deck, just because I feel it's going to last longer. And the paper is still similar enough, so I'm sure it shuffles like a dream still. So yeah. So you can see here, for example, plant and metal guidance. So all the plants that they used and metals and crystals or whatever, there's a message that comes from those plants and materials, I'm going to say. And so for every card, it says the plants and metal collaborators here. So you can go and check an additional meaning for every single card from this part of the guidebook, which is amazing. And the messages have been channeled, which I love. The interpretations of the cards are a little bit different visually, which I also love. And let's just, yeah, I'm just going to leave it open. Let's look at the Emperor and the Hierophant, just because these are the cards that are usually not liked the most in tarot community, let's just say that. So you can read it for yourself if you're interested. But yeah, this deck and the guidebook are just so amazing. I really, really suggest it. It's still available, so yeah, let me just show you the shuffle real quick. One of my favorite shuffles of all time. And this way. Amazing. The next one we have is the Enchanted Forest Tarot, I believe, or is it Forest of Enchantment Tarot? I'm not sure. I never know what is it called, but yeah, this one is very naturey, but still witchy. This deck could also be put in the In Between Worlds, I think, category, but it just covers everything witchy, everything nature, and everything otherworldly. So I just decided to put it in this video. It could be put in my next video as well, but here we are. So this deck is very magical as well. As you can see, it is based on different stories, I believe, and I love the art. I mean, just consider this, right? Every card has been painted on literally the same size canvas as this. That's tiny. That's micro painting. That's very impressive and gorgeous, and there's details that you can see in the guidebook, which is amazing. So the guidebook is still the old Llewellyn guidebook, which is a bit bigger. And you can go and look at all the details there if you are interested, which is really, really great. The new Llewellyn guidebooks are not as big, but they're still much bigger than the cards, so that's amazing. So yeah, this deck, I mean, it's talked about a lot in the tarot community, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it's such a great reader. And the only complaint I have about this deck is that there is just age diversity in it, but no other diversity. That's the only one. So yeah, it is what it is, I'm gonna say. So the older Llewellyn cardstock, which is amazing. I love it. So yeah, this was the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. One more that is between pagan and between nature, I'd say. So this is the Wildwood Tarot, and it is very ancestrally for me personally. Yeah, ancestors come through for me through this deck. I have a lot of Celtic ancestry. You wouldn't think because I'm Slavic, but I do, because I did a DNA test, which was very interesting. But yeah, this deck is, it's rooted in forest, in nature. I feel like it represents a relationship between people and nature in more primal ways from I don't know when, but it's definitely not now. So yeah, it is very beautiful. Will Worthington's work is just gorgeous. And personally, I think this is his best work. Or maybe the Lenormand is also gorgeous. But yeah, I love this deck. It is a bit different than the Rider-Waite-Smith. It is based on the Wheel of the Year. Again, very pagan, right? And I love it. It is beautiful. You can see we have Celtic traditions here, or pagan traditions, if you will. It's very intuitive, if you want it to be. The guidebook that comes with it is amazing. I didn't bring it up with me, but it is amazing. We have dragons, yay! Yeah, so what can I say? This deck has been talked about on the Tarot Troop a lot as well. This is the, this is the 2011 edition in the UK, which is not glossy, it is matte, and it is not laminated, but it's still thicker than the Druidcraft one. I prefer it personally. I know it is not as durable, like it can get damaged easier, but I don't like the glossiness of the newest editions. So the shuffling. You can see that this one shuffles really nicely. The other one, it's really hard to shuffle. It's really hard to riffle shuffle, if I remember. But those was also the times when my riffle shuffling was not as pro as it is now. So yeah, this was the Wildwood Tarot. Balance. Also, the suits have been renamed, which I appreciate. Let's go to the Druidcraft, since we just mentioned it. I'm gonna put the Druid Animal and Druid Plant Druid Animal and Druid Plant Oracle next to it, because it's beautiful together. As you can see, they both come with borders. This one had white borders around as well, but I trimmed them off. Not the best trimming, but it's, oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So yes, I really wish that the cardstock was like this on this one, because this one is laminated, but it is not super glossy. It is like semi-gloss, which is fine. But this one now is like super glossy. So this is, again, a really old version, I think 2004. So it's very old, but it's very papery, as you can see. But I still prefer it to gloss, so because it's papery, it's more matty. Anyways, this deck is very Rider-Waite-Smith, but also does his own thing. It's a he. Does his own thing. Maybe I said he because it has quite a lot of masculine energy about it, which is very rare, I feel. A lot of decks are very feminine, in my opinion. Some of them are balanced. This one is actually balanced, but because it's so rare to find that, my brain went to masculine first. But yeah, it is very balanced. Anyhow, these two work together as, what is the word? As bread and butter, I'm gonna say. Yeah, just, actually, you know, when I said that the Wildwood was Will Worthington's best work, actually, I think these two Oracle decks are even better, especially the plant one is just so gorgeous. I remember when I first found them, I was like, whoa, it is so perfect. Apparently, these borders have an energetic feel to them, so I didn't want to trim them off. Also, they're really cool. I think I might in the future trim off the white border from this one, just because They're quite large and hard to handle, and the riffle shuffle is not the most pleasant, I'm gonna say anyway. So anyhow, yeah, so the Druidcraft is one of the most used decks, I think, in Tarot community. It's been around for a very long time. It's just gorgeous, and the guidebook is amazing that comes with it. And the Druid plant and Druid animal decks have amazing guidebooks as well. So I think with these decks, the guidebooks are really cool. I love working with guidebooks, but you definitely don't need a guidebook for the Druidcraft, although I really suggest it because it's just amazing. Yeah, just beautiful, and the messages that come through are very obvious. Like, she's obviously a Queen of Wands. Look at the cat, look at his face. Oh my god, she's a boss, you know, she's the boss, and she's magical. I feel like she put this wand up and something behind her just started burning. Like, so she's definitely, look at how she's sitting, like the positioning of people's, and the subtle symbolism in the cards, if you look into them, is so huge. Like, that's why having this two, let me show them some of the animals here. That's why having the animal and plant oracles is actually really cool, because we can see lots of plants and animals and symbolism in these cards, and they intertwine, so you can find meanings in all the guidebooks. So if you work with these decks together as a whole, it's a very enriching experience. That's what I'm gonna say. You can learn a lot about the Celtic traditions and Druidism and witchcraft through these. So that's why it's called Druidcraft, because we have Druidism and witchcraft together in this deck. So it is incredible, as is this one. So, or this two. I made it in one deck, but it's two really. Next is again artwork by Will Warrington. I only have like two Lenormand decks. One is by Anna Kay and one is by Chloe McCracken. This one is so sweet. It's beautiful, and the guidebook that comes with it is amazing. So I actually got this because it's beautiful, but also because of the guidebook, because I don't read Lenormand well yet at all. So that's something that I want to learn in the future. You get extra cards, so you can choose your animals, you can choose your birds, etc. It is just beautiful, this deck. It's gorgeous, it's clear, it's, I don't know, it's just great. I love it. I love it so much. So I'm going to learn to read with it in the future, and I'm glad I have this one because the guidebook is so great and it is beautiful. So yeah, another one that is pagan that of course I have to mention is the Row of Pagan Cats. I talked about this deck before, so I'm not going to be very long here, but the Row of Pagan Cats is very pagan. You have symbolism, pagan symbolism in the cards that you can explore if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It is very Rider-Waite-Smith based. The cats are beautiful. The cats act like cats, but they somehow manage to give the symbolism of the Rider-Waite-Smith perfectly, like humans would. So if you don't like using human cards, but you like the Rider-Waite-Smith system, this is a perfect compromise, in my opinion. Unless you don't like cats, then don't get this deck. So yeah, this is Tarot Pagan Cats. Let me show you how it shuffles. I didn't show you how the Celtic Lenormand shuffles, but you can't riffle shuffle it. Beautiful. Last but not least is the Wheel of Change Tarot. Now, I also brought my huge book up because I want to show you something. So this deck is very interesting. It's gorgeous. It was done in the 90s, if I'm not wrong, or maybe even 80s. It is quite an old deck. So the modern cards are modern for the 80s or 90s. They're not really modern. One thing that I find interesting about these cards, I'm going to put this one aside because we're going to look at it later, is, so these are on top are more modern cards, right? So we have modern cards, modern for in the last 40 years, but most of the cards are actually not modern, right? This is the last modern card. I think this one. No, this one. No, this one. No, this one. So we had what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 modern cards. And the rest feel like a snap from the past, from around the world and different cultures. There is a lot of pagan teachings in these cards. You wouldn't think, but there are. So all the cards that are coming from the European culture, I'd say, are very pagan. I think Ace of Cups here talks about Arthur's Grail, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's very different. It is very rich. Like, you need a guidebook with this. You can get a PDF, I think, but I have a physical guidebook that I don't think it's in print anymore. Look at the tower, wow. So yeah, like I said, we have teachings from around the world. If I remember correctly, I talked to the author of this deck, and she was telling me that her mom was a historian in the university, if I remember this correctly. Please, I'm not 100% sure, but I think she said that. And because of that, she had a lot of knowledge about history, I suppose, of the world. And so she did a huge research as well when she was creating this deck, like huge. And it's artistically beautiful, and it's very, very interesting. I feel like if you work with this deck and read a book, you're going to learn so much. I'm not sure if any of the information, of course, is outdated, because we know that history, let's be honest, was written by white men. And so it is not very, very accurate, right? It is from the lens of white men who are very, well, not all white men, but you know what I mean. Let's not go political right now, but anyhow, I'm going to show you an example from the guidebook because it's just something that I want to show you. So here we have the Lovers, right? And it talks about, I believe, well, I'm just going to show you. So this is the book. Can you see? It has 383 pages or 385 pages. That's crazy. So let me find the Lovers. There we go, the Lovers. We get the title, the card, the sun and moon joined by light. You can read it yourself actually. I'm just gonna read the beginning of it. In the Lovers, we see a personification of the sun and the moon joined together in a partnership that defines their roles in the cosmos. Each of the great light makes its way through the sky in a prescribed path that demands certain interaction. The sun is visible only during the day, rising and setting in a certain yearly pattern, while the quicker moon flirts with the sun and sees both night and day as its more complex pattern defines the month. Their equal size, as seen from Earth, creates eclipses and further reveals the dynamic of the two great heavenly lights. Against the unchanging backdrop of their repeating pattern, the people of Earth define the characteristics of sun and moon and the passage of time. The Lover's card is the tarot representation that the whole world can be seen as the duality of self and other than self. The recognition of this duality leads a human being to consciousness through the realization that he or she is a unique individual in the context of the world, just as the sun recognizes its face in the moon, and the moon finds its light in the glow of the sun. Therefore, the Lover's card is the symbol of dawning consciousness and the immediate need for relationship in order to discover the self. For only in relationship do we find the mirror, allowing us to truly see the self and discover our purpose in the world. Do you see how deep this book is? And that's just the first few paragraphs. So it goes then in depth, and then it gives you the meaning in the reading as well. And every card in the deck is done this way. Not just the minors, not just the majors, also the minors. Look at that. So yeah, this deck is definitely a study deck, 100%. Please let me know if you would like me to do a series on this deck, because I think it is very, very intriguing and very interesting, and I think we can all learn a lot from this, even though some information might be outdated, like I said, because it was written in, let me see when it was written, actually we can see, in the 90s, so it was written in the 1997, that is almost 30 years ago. I don't know, I think it's something that could be very interesting to study. So please let me know in the comments below if you would like me to do a series on this deck, because I would be actually quite intrigued to do that, considering that I do have a large guidebook and that I love going into the symbolism and all the other things that come with it. Now let me show you how it shuffles. Shuffles really well. It is still available at the author's website, and her website is Alexandra Janetti. I'm gonna actually link her website in the description box below. So this was my witchy / pagan / naturey decks. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you have a wonderful day, night, evening, morning, afternoon, whatever the time is, wherever you are on this beautiful planet Earth. And I will see you again soon. Bye bye.